daily game plan for success. It's Sachs in the Morning. Steve Sachs.
Hi, Steve Sachs here with Sachs in the Morning. One of the greatest pleasures we have is to be a parent, and to be an example for our kids is a great thing. I know there's a lot of young parents out there, so I have a couple of stories I want to share with you today. Love telling stories, and so I hope you like these. This story today is about Easy Eddie and Butch O'Hare, okay? So many years ago, Al Capone virtually owned Chicago. Capone wasn't famous for anything heroic. As a matter of fact, he was notorious for enmeshing the Windy City in everything from bootleg booze and prostitution to murder. Capone had a lawyer nicknamed Easy Eddie. He was his lawyer for a good reason. Eddie was very good. In fact, Eddie's skill at legal maneuvering kept Big Al out of the jail for a long time. And to show his appreciation, Capone paid him very well. Not only was the money big, but Eddie got special dividends. For instance, he and his family occupied a fenced-in mansion with live-in help and all the conveniences of the day. Now, this estate was so large that it filled an entire city block in Chicago. Eddie lived the high life of the Chicago mob and gave little consideration to the atrocities that went on around him. Eddie did have one soft spot, however. He had a son that he loved very much. Eddie saw to it that his young son had the best of everything, clothes and cars and a great education. Nothing was withheld, and the price was no object. And despite his involvement with organized crime, Eddie even tried to teach him right from wrong. Eddie wanted his son to be a better man than he was. Yet, with all of his wealth and influence, there were two things that Eddie could not give his son. He couldn't pass on a good name or a good example. So one day, Easy Eddie reached a difficult decision. He wanted to rectify the wrongs he had done. He decided that he would go to the authorities and tell the truth about Al Scarface Capone, clean up his tarnished name, and offer his son some semblance of integrity. Now, to do this, he would have to testify against the mob, and he knew that the cost would be great. So he did testify. Easy Eddie's life ended in a blaze of gunfire on a lonely Chicago street. But in his eyes, he had given his son the greatest gift he had to offer at the greatest price he would have to pay. And now, I want to tell you another story. World War II produced many heroes. One such man was Lieutenant Commander Butch O'Hare. He was a fighter pilot assigned to the aircraft carrier Lexington in the South Pacific. One day, he saw something that turned his blood cold. A squadron of Japanese aircraft had speeded their way toward the American fleet. The American fighters were gone on a sortie, and the fleet was all but defenseless. He couldn't reach his squadron and bring them back in time to save the fleet, nor could he warn the fleet of the approaching danger. There was only one thing to do. He must somehow divert them from the fleet. Laying aside all thoughts of personal safety, he dove into the formation of Japanese planes. Wing-mounted .50 calibers blazed as he charged in, attacking one surprised enemy plane after another. Butch wove in and out of the now broken formation and fired at as many planes as possible until all his ammunition was finally spent. Undaunted, he continued the assault. He dove at the planes, trying to clip a wing or a tail in hopes of damaging as many enemy planes as possible and rendering them unable to fly. Finally, the exasperated Japanese squadron took off in another direction. Deeply relieved, Butch O'Hare and his tattered fighter limped back to the carrier. Upon arrival, he reported in and related the events surrounding his return. He had in fact destroyed 5 enemy aircraft. This took place on February 20, 1942, and for that action, Butch became the Navy's first World War II and the Navy's first aviator to win the Congressional Medal of Honor. Unfortunately, a year later, Butch O'Hare was killed in aerial combat at the age of 29. His hometown would not allow the memory of this World War II hero to fade, and today, O'Hare's Airport in Chicago is named in tribute to the courage of this great man. So the next time you find yourself at O'Hare International, give some thought to visiting Butch's memorial, displaying his statue and his Medal of Honor. It's located between Terminals 1 and 2. So what do these two stories have to do with each other? Well, Butch O'Hare was Easy Eddie's son. Wow. That's my Sax in the Morning short for today. I encourage all of you to engage and follow your emotional heart.